What? Where am I?
You're currently in the midst of a Planck constant modification field that restricts the volume of your atoms. You're tiny.
Oh, okay. But what is this place?
You are at the Protista exhibition, the finest museum of protist life ever created.
What's a protist?
A protist is any eukaryote that is not a member of the kingdom of Plantae, Animalia, or Fungi. So, if a cell has a nucleus and is not a plant, animal, or fungus, it is a protist. And you, sir, are a eukaryote, protists being the first eukaryotic life to evolve life to appear nearly 1.5 billion years ago, are the ancestors of the human race.
Oh, okay.
It is likely that eukaryotic life arose from the symbiotic relationship of several cells which conjugated together. Some became mitochondria, others chloroplast. There are three main types of protists: plant-like, fungus-like, and animal-like. Follow me. We shall first explore the realm of fungus-like protists. Ah, here's a slime mold, a fine specimen. Slime molds are protists which play key roles in recycling organic material. They produce spores, almost like fungi. However, they lack chitin cell walls of true fungi. Cellulose slime molds remain distinct, separated by cell membranes. But they pass through a stage in which the cells fuse to form large cells with many nuclei. These acellular structures with many nuclei are called plasmodia. Here is another specimen. If you have seen white fuzz growing on a dead fish in the water, you have seen water mold in action. Water molds, or umicides, are members of the phylum Omicota. Umicides thrive on dead or decaying organic material in water and are plant parasites on land.
Lovely.
Water molds have both sexual and asexual phases in their life cycles. Here you see the zoosporangia, which are spore cases. Sexual reproduction takes place in specialized structures that are formed in the hyphae. Water molds and slime molds aid in the decomposition of organic substances. These molds led to the Irish potato blight of the 1840s. These molds can kill. In fact, they could probably kill you.
Cool.
Come, let us away. Here you see algae. One of the main characteristics used to classify algae is the type of photosynthesis pigments they contain. Many have compounds called accessory pigments that also absorb light at different wavelengths than chlorophyll. Protists have evolved different kinds of chlorophyll than true plants. Other fine protists are euglenophytes, plant-like protists that have two flagella but no cell wall. They are found in ponds and lakes across the world and are quite the swimmers. That spot of reddish pigment is called the eye spot, which helps the organism find sunlight to power photosynthesis. They can live as heterotrophs, absorbing nutrients from decayed organic material, and while they don't have cell walls, they have intricate membranes called a pellicle. Here are some dinoflagellates. Half of dinoflagellates are heterotrophic, while the other half is photosynthetic. When they are agitated, many become luminescent. Dinoflagellates, by the way, do not have histones, the protein that DNA binds around. This property mystifies scientists. Another group of protists are called Christophytes. The phylum Christophyta are a diverse group of plant-like protists that have gold-colored chloroplasts. This here is a diatom with rotational symmetry. They produce thin, delicate cell walls rich in silicon, the main ingredient in glass. They have fine lines and patterns that almost seem to be etched in their glass-like brilliance. Isn't it smashing? Quite. Protists make up a considerable part of phytoplankton. They can also kill you in a very interesting way. Where there is excess sewage in the ocean, some protist species grow into enormous masses called blooms. Some of these, known as red tides, produce potentially dangerous toxin. Eating shellfish from water infected with red tide can cause serious illness, paralysis, and even death. Isn't that interesting? Very interesting. Some algae are multicellular. The three main groups of these are red, green, and brown. Red algae are able to live at great depths due to their efficiency at harvesting light energy. Red algae contain chlorophyll A and reddish accessory pigments called phycobilins, which are especially good at absorbing blue light. This type here is called coralline. Another common type is chondrus criscens or Irish moss. Brown algae contain chlorophyll A and C, as well as the brown accessory pigment fucoxanthin. Common types include fuscus, called rockweed, and also giant kelp. Green algae share many characteristics with plants, including their photosynthetic pigments and their cell wall composition. You can see that it contains blades, a bladder, a stipe, and a holdfast. Scientists hypothesize that the ancestors of modern land plants looked a lot like certain species of living green algae, found in fresh and salt water and moist areas on land. Some live as unicellular, others in colonies, like those in the tanks. Some are multicellular. The life cycles of many algae contain a diploid and a haploid generation. In a process known as alternation of generation, many switch back between these stages. There are two main opposite types, plus and minus. During reproduction, the two mating types gather in large groups and pluses pair with minuses. Both members of the pair shed their cell walls and fuse, forming a diploid zygote with a thick protective wall that can survive freezing or drying conditions that would ordinarily kill it. Not bad. Another green alga, ulva, also has alternation of generations. The haploid forms are known as gametophytes. The diploid ulva undergoes mitosis to produce haploid reproductive cells called spores. Because it produces spores, it is also known as a sporophyte. You know, about half the photosynthesis on Earth is performed by algae. In addition, a variety of products are made using algae, from deodorants to plastics to sushi. Come, last we shall visit animal-like protists. I think you'll like these. Here are zooflagellants. Animal-like protists that swim using flagella are classified in the phylum Zomastogena. They live in lakes, in streams, and in organisms. They absorb food through their cell membranes and reproduce both sexually and asexually. And here are the ciliates, named for the cilia which they use for movement and feeding. Along the inside edge, there you see the trichocysts, very small bottle-shaped structures used for defense. The macronucleus is a working library of genetic information. The micronucleus contains a reserved copy of all the cell's genes. They sweep food particles into the gullet. These materials are emptied into the environment when the food vacuole fuses with a region of the cell's membrane called the anopore. Contractile vacuoles are the cavities in the cytoplasm that are specialized to collect water. When it is full, it pumps the water out. Under most conditions, they reproduce asexually, but there is also a process known as conjugation which allows them to exchange genetic material with other individuals. And that is a plasmodium. Some protists cause disease. This plasmodium causes malaria. Cool. Members of the phylum Sporozoa do not move on their own and are parasitic. And zooflagellants of the genus Trypanosome are responsible for African sleeping sickness. Amoebic dysentery, which is characterized by severe diarrhea, is caused by an organism that looks like a harmless amoeba that you may find in a nearby pond. Although some protists are harmless, some animal-like protists recycle nutrients, others serve as food, some live in termites' stomachs and allow them to break down wood. This is an amoeba, the most famous of the sarcodides, animal-like protists which use pseudopodia, temporary projections of cytoplasm, for feeding and movement. They can capture and digest particles of food. They can even capture cells, or other things. They do this by surrounding their meal and taking it inside them to form a food vacuole. Once inside the cell, the material is digested rapidly and then the nutrients are passed along to the rest of the cell. Why don't you pet the amoeba? It's very soft. I'll just step outside for a moment. Good amoeba. Nice amoeba. You are soft, aren't you? Uh, wait, what? What are you doing?